You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Every Tuesday, visit with Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, talk a little recruiting. Shady, how are you, man?
Once again, I'm leading off for just a star-studded group of folks to come on. So did not get cut. Feeling good about that. My
Never.
scholarship still stands.
You will never get cut, Shea. As long as I'm in the chair and you're willing to keep answering the phone, we'll keep having you, man. We appreciate you for being with us. And when you have a weekend like this where Bowe Bentley, everyone's all eyes always on quarterback. Bowe Bentley was at Oklahoma this weekend. He was at LSU the weekend prior. Can you give us an update on where things stand with Bowe Bentley after he's made official visits now to his final two?
Yeah. Look, we talked about this kind of the past couple of weeks coming off his LSU, going into the LSU visit, coming off it, and going into this OU visit. But he's an on-3 top 5 quarterback in this class, and he's also the lone guy, really even in the top 10 probably, Matt, that remains uncommitted. So when you went from last cycle losing Bryce Underwood in the 11th hour to this cycle, kind of in a way playing catch-up, right, on recruiting quarterbacks, to be able to get into position for a guy like Bentley was huge. And now they've made it all the way down to his final two, and he gave, coming out of Norman, kind of took a couple of days to mull things over, or at least kind of keep to himself, and then reached out to both Will Pong and Chad Simmons, our national guys at On3, and said, hey, look, OU is good. The LSU trip, as I said, was good. I'm going to kind of buckle in here and make a decision, and kind of really said, look, thank you to both programs. I'm kind of feeling things out here, and I'll let both programs know once I'm kind of have that decision made. I should note, though, that I believe next Tuesday, at least that's when it begins, but he'll fly out to L.A. for the Elite 11 that last handful of days, almost a week. And then we're to almost the end of June, and initially he had planned to do it in July anyhow. So I won't be floored if in the next week before he leaves for that, certainly given how much media is going to be out there, if he doesn't say, hey, look, if I have a decision made, let's go ahead and do it now.
Okay, so I was going to ask, obviously, a timeline. So you're saying that potentially before he leaves for Elite 11, we may know.
Yeah, I think that's just at least a guess, because
Sure.
There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks out there. Most of them are committed. So if he's out there, that becomes kind of a storyline for him. And I just kind of know how these quarterbacks operate. They'd much rather, as much as folks think, some of them do love the limelight, many of them would rather just go out there and kind of compete. So I think that if he's ready to make a decision in the next week, that it's two teams. He knows exactly where things stand, from playing time to, family feel at each spot, to fit, to what development, to NIL, like all of that's been discussed even ahead of official visits and then ironed out on those past 2 weeks he was in Baton Rouge and Norman. So now it's just a matter of, hey, look, whenever he's ready to do it, he's going to go ahead and pull the trigger and make his college reveal.
We'll get right back to the video, but thrilled to welcome Our Lady of the Lake to AFR LSU. As the championship health partner of LSU athletics, the physicians at Our Lady of the Lake serve the champions on the field in the purple and gold, but that same level of care is available to you and your family. I've been a proud supporter of Our Lady of the Lake my entire life, from volunteering at the Ronald McDonald Playroom as a high schooler to helping so many of the fundraising efforts for the standalone Children's Hospital, to my own son being a patient now at that very Children's Hospital, and my primary care physician, Dr. Kurt Chastain, at Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. Our Lady of the Lake has been a part of my medical journey my entire life, and you can learn more as well. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Also, Shea was curious about an update on Emanuel Tucker, the offensive lineman from Mississippi, and things seem to be trending pretty well for LSU there.
Yes, I do believe that is the case, and I think his actions speak to it. He had decommitted from Mississippi State, and LSU had been on him for a while. This is a kid from Mississippi, a 4-star offensive lineman, top 15 offensive tackle on 3. So one of the more coveted guys in the country, certainly in the Southeast. And LSU's recruited really well in the Pine Belt here recently, but and look, have a commitment from 5-star Tristan Keys right now out of Hattiesburg. After getting Tyler Miller out of Laurel and then P.J. Woodland out of Oak Grove. So this could be 3 cycles in a row that, they strike in that area. But Emanuel Tucker's from New Albany. That's Ole Miss country. And he made an Ole Miss visit, then he decommitted, then he did his LSU visit. But even going into the LSU visit, I had heard, hey, look, if LSU doesn't fumble it completely this weekend, they're in a really good spot. And I speak to his actions of, I don't know, midway through the visit, I think he had texted Chad Simmons with the On3 national team and said, hey, I've decided now I am going to go ahead and commit next week. And he had said Friday, now it's going to be Thursday. So, and then he continued with another day plus of his LSU visit. So I think with his parents down here, family, all that all signs point to LSU being out front on Ole Miss here with what is it, 3-4 days to go until we hear about his announcement, and that would be another top 150 commit, which would push him back above Southern Cal as they kind of jockey for this number 1 class in the country.
Emanuel Tucker, one to watch. That announcement's coming soon. There's 2 more, Shea, key offensive line targets that LSU is going to be hosting this weekend with Darius Gray, who we've talked about before, and Bryson Coolie. Maybe take those one at a time, if you would, and start with Darius Gray and what you can tell us.
Yeah, Gray's a guy who pretty much all offseason has been a top target for LSU. And eventually, the rankings moved him up all the way to, or should I say, expanded to where he became a 5-star. But he's got kind of the who's who of college teams that have been after him. Early on, it was South Carolina as kind of one of the East Coast teams, and LSU thought to be the 2 teams out front. And then it was LSU's kind of the leader going into these OVs. And he's made some official visits already. But coming out of Knoxville this past weekend, Tennessee, another school that's been in the mix, he said at least has made enough of an impression that they would be the team to beat. But he still has LSU and South Carolina to go. And I do like LSU here. I think that even with him saying that about Tennessee, I think that LSU is going to get that same reaction out of him this weekend. And then you see what South Carolina does. But, Brad Davis and the staff have recruited so well on the O-line in recent years that a guy from the East Coast in Virginia that's a 5-star that doesn't really have any connections to LSU isn't some reach. I mean, he's visited a number of times already and has given LSU one of his final 2 visits. So I think we'll know about that one in July, probably, when the dust settles on a month long of visiting kind of all of the top teams.
And then Bryson Coolie?
Another border state kid, and we know that LSU wants to tap into that with Texas and Arkansas. And a year ago, they signed top prospect out of Arkansas, number 1 O-lineman, certainly, in Carius Kern, who finished as a 5-star. And there was some buzz around him this spring and kind of his trajectory of early playing time and what it might look like. And they also signed another top 150 prospect coming out of Mississippi, who was Mississippi's number 1 O-lineman a year ago, in Tyler Miller, who I mentioned, coming out of Laurel. Well, that's where Bryson Cooley's from, Laurel, Mississippi. So part of that Pine Belt area, Hattiesburg, Oak Grove, Laurel, all kind of within about a 20, 30-minute drive of each other. And certainly Tyler Miller will play a role this weekend, but getting Cooley in is big because LSU, Bama, is coming off an Ole Miss visit. That's kind of the trio of teams in the mix. He'll check out State, but there's been a time this spring where Cooley made visits to all these schools unofficially, a couple to LSU, and said they were the team to beat. So the Tigers are kind of in good shape right now as they look to potentially land the number 1 offensive lineman in Mississippi and Emanuel Tucker this week, and then follow it up by getting the number 2 offensive lineman out of Mississippi on campus on Friday.
You love to see it. Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tigers on Twitter at Shea Dixon. You can get him there. A couple more for you. We've talked a lot about the offensive line. What about the guys that run behind them? KJ Edwards, the running back, was in town this past weekend, and apparently year to ground, Frank Wilson making some hay there?
Yeah, this goes back to a kind of a story, or reflect back on how that 2 years ago was when there wasn't that Louisiana running back that Frank Wilson was after, and he went to a border state, Texas, and he got Caden Durham. And early on, everyone thought Caden Durham would go to OU, and that ultimately wasn't the case. And he didn't really recruit any other running backs, and that was kind of the case last year when he stayed in state, focused on that group of guys, and ultimately signed 2 of them, the number 1 running back in the country, Harlan Berry out of New Orleans, and then J.T. Lindsey, a top 10 running back coming out of Ash. So you look at, okay, what do they do next? Well, once more, we didn't know who's the top target. They're not offering any Louisiana guys. And then it's become pretty clear that it's Edwards. He's a top 5 running back in the country and has kept kind of mum on things, Matt. So we know the in-state schools had been in it. We just didn't know about LSU. And when I say in-state, Texas A&M. But from all I've heard and what he said so far is that visit went really well. And both his parents there, and he would be pitched as the lone running back in this class potentially because he'll probably need to go to the portal. So keep an eye on this one. This is the guy who Texas and A&M kind of thought, hey, look, we don't really need to. At least we don't have LSU on us and fighting us. It'll just be us. And I think LSU is firmly in that top group after this past weekend.
Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Shea, one more if I could. I know we got the news yesterday that Jordan Arsamon is leaving the program for Athletes First, and Jordan's actually going to be with us here in hour number 3. I'm just curious, someone who obviously pays so much close attention to recruiting, how the support staff role moving on like that could affect things internally and in this class.
Yeah, he was director of player development, but had really then moved into a kind of a communications external role. He done some NIL stuff at one point, but a guy who, from Thibodeau, really has connections all over Louisiana. So when it comes to recruiting, he's going to get involved and be involved and has connections to a lot of coaches around the state and kids. So I think what we've seen, at least kind of through the past couple of years, and when Frank Wilson's been here, Austin Thomas has been here, Scott Woodward, I mean, the focus for positions like that remains guys who have some connection to the state. We saw it with Eric Held getting hired for that open spot, and then a guy like J.R. Benton, who played up at West Monroe at quarterback and La Tech, and then has so many connections in North Louisiana. And you can go up and down the list of actual on-field coaches right now who have Louisiana ties, most recently Kyle Williams. So I would expect that they would probably bring someone in who at least have some experience around the state that kind of keeps that recruiting momentum rolling.
Make sure you get him at Shea Dixon on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, On3, the Bengal Tiger. Great time to go sign up over there at On3. Shea, we appreciate you, man. Thanks as always.
Yeah, and I don't have any NIL deals with you, so I do this for the love of the game. So I'm glad I didn't get cut from the team today.
We'll see if we can maybe work on that. We'll see if we can get you
an
NIL.
Good. I'm good. I do it because I love you, Matt.
I appreciate it, Jay. We always appreciate the time. Thanks, man.
Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.